Making money with AI is the dominant conversation we see everywhere. Now, what if I tell you there are people who are not only making money with AI, but they are making money from these AI companies that are designing these AI solutions? Yes, they are investors. Theirs is to put their money in these AI companies and buy shares. And as these AI companies design more solutions for people, they make more money. Now, they've made more money year to date from January till this time. And as we do here, and we say here often, that there is always a bull market. And our job is to help you find it. Welcome to Clockwise. Today we'll be discussing 5 AI companies that have printed more millionaires than any stock in the world. And that conversation is, you can invest in these companies from any part of the world, from Nigeria, from any part of Africa. But with a resounding virtual round of applause, I want you to welcome my guests again. Please welcome my guests. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you.
Welcome to Clockwise.
Yes.
Before we actually proceed to today's conversation, which will be looking at 5 stocks that have done greatly well, and they will do greatly well also before the end of this year, AI stocks. I want us to establish the fact that it is possible to invest in these stocks from any part of the world.
Okay. Thank you. So, the reason why this conversation is very important at this time is that a lot of people, I know most of our audience are Nigerians, but a lot of us have been so fixated on Nigerian stocks that we have missed out on a lot of opportunities elsewhere. So, unfortunately, in Nigeria, there are companies, but majorly startups. For example, I'm a co-founder of Dara.ai. It's actually an AI play, but the company we are still raising funds at a private round. So we are not listed on the Nigerian stock market yet. And a number of other companies in Nigeria are majorly, especially AI companies, native AI companies, that's what I mean, are still in the private market. So there is the opportunity for investors to take advantage of these markets or these stocks kind of limited. So because of that, we would want, we think by this, we should be able to have our investors take advantage of markets, foreign markets. We have seen a very serious boom in AI infrastructure build out in the US. And of course, companies listed in the exchange, the New York Stock Exchange and NASDAQ, are really printing a lot of billionaires.
Okay. How easy is it for us to actually invest?
So it is very easy. It is very easy. I'm going to use an example of the bamboo, for instance. You can, it is as simple as investing in the Nigerian stock market. So basically, just deposit in Nigerian Naira. When you deposit in Nigerian Naira, you can actually change. You would see it there from your NGX wallet, your NGN wallet. You can convert it to USD. So you have dollars in your USD wallet. With that, you can actually buy the stocks. And literally all the stocks we are mentioning today are available, and you can purchase it on Bamboo.
So you can actually buy this.
You can actually buy.
Okay, now let's look at the business model of it. Now, people don't really understand what AI models are. Now, you see, apart from the AI companies that design these solutions, we have other physical infrastructures. The companies that are actually, they are big on physical infrastructure. We have the data centers, we have the power centers, we have the cooling centers, and the rest of them. They are still part of the AI value chain. So let's discuss this value chain and see how people can actually invest in any of them.
Okay, so, and which is what we are going to do today. We are looking at, like, I'm happy that you talked about power, because power is very critical. You can't build, when you talk about AI infrastructure build out, power is central. Most of the data, so you have the power supply. That's why you see most of the hyperscalers are literally signing contracts for nuclear energy, because I mean, fossil fuels can never get close. Elon Musk is talking about actually building data centers in space to take advantage of the solar energy, enormous solar energy. So you see that power is central. But beyond power, so you have power first, then you have data centers. Data centers are where the compute power capacity is generated. So this data center, what you have now is massive AI data center build out, where and this is where some of the names we are mentioning would be actually very dominant. Here you would use GPUs. GPUs are better than CPUs, because CPUs, like the one we have in our computers, actually process step by step. They process data step by step. But GPUs do what we call parallel processing. And that is what you need to be able to host infrastructure of AI infrastructures. Now, before now, we used to have like maybe 1, 2, 3, or 4 GPUs. But now for AI training, so we have two things: AI training and inferencing. So for the AI training and inferencing, you need very powerful GPUs, and these GPUs, some of them you have 100,000 plus GPUs. These GPUs, how do they connect? That's when networking comes in.
Okay.
Networking comes in because you need these GPUs to connect.
And we have different companies that specialize.
And they have, the companies, I'm going to mention some companies that are actually in this networking.
Okay, that's still part of the AI.
They are still in the AI infrastructure build out. Okay. Then from there, you also have, apart from networking, you also have communication is very important. So what we mean by communication is how is data transfer handled? Now you cannot use electrical technology because electrical technology itself is not as efficient as it could be. That is where you now have optical DSPs, optical infrastructure that allows, you're talking about 100, sometimes 1 million GPUs. It's ridiculous. You can't even think of using electrical connections. Rather, you use optical connections. That is where some of the names we're going to mention come in. So that allows the GPUs to be able to communicate seamlessly. And you're talking about thousands, hundreds of thousands, or even millions of GPUs working together. Apart from that, you then have storage. Very important. Without memory, GPUs are completely useless. Yes. So because when you talk about training, there has to be storage, a memory to store the information. And then you talk about inferencing. It's also very important, also very strategic. So the entire build out, the stack is a very long one. It's one that actually involves a lot of components.
All right. Now, before we actually go to listing the various stocks we actually analyze, now let's look at the business model. You see, we've emphasized that before you actually invest in any company, you have to understand what they are doing, what business are they doing. How long do you see this model? How long do you see this business model, and how long will it be productive?
Okay, so currently, there is very serious demand for AI infrastructure is completely outstripping supply.
Everywhere.
That's why you see, we are going to look at some of the numbers. Yeah. You will see a lot of companies that come out with guidance saying that infrastructure, last a couple of days ago, Jensen Huang, the president and CEO of NVIDIA, was at the GTC and said that the AI infrastructure, and by the way, I'm actually sitting in the middle of that. Like I told you, I have an AI company and we do a lot of AI, and we do a lot of training, we do a lot of inferencing. Now, the amount of tokens that we consume is insane. And you need these tokens because for us, we basically provide a sales automation infrastructure for businesses. So we train the AI, the agent with the business's data. That must be stored, and then as many over the past few weeks or so, we've had a number of businesses on board. As more businesses on board, that means more data to be trained. And not just training, that AI allows businesses to do what? To have access to be able to, the model actually works on behalf of business. So in terms of taking calls, in terms of responding to customer inquiries and all of those things, that is what we call inferencing, to understand what the question the customer is asking, and to provide relevant answers. So that is inference. So the demand for this is absolutely high. We have not even scratched the surface. That is why you see, and some of the names I'm going to mention, you see companies that have done 200x. Like one of the, I'm telling you, I had to even trim my portfolio. One of the companies has done, we are going to list it, has done already 200x, 200% year to date. You know what that means? It means that, and by the way, this company is trading at single-digit price to earnings ratio. Think about that. That means earnings are growing seriously. That's why the price to earnings ratio is falling. All right. So the demand for AI infrastructure, the demand for inferencing, the demand for compute is completely off the charts.
Because why not? Why, if we actually subscribe in Africa, in Nigeria, to actually use AI?
We are not even using AI here.
So why don't we actually invest in the companies?
So you mean you don't just use it, but you also have to invest. So you
the
benefit
future is AI.
The future is actually AI.
All right, now let's move straight to the listing.
Okay.
Now, if we're to start investing now,
Yes.
based on what you've done, give us five different stocks.
So I'm going to pick. There are winners in each of these sectors, but I'm going to I'll just pick one and then just mention, not just another mention. So, for example, for chips, I talked about for chips, we are looking at Nvidia.
He's the king of chips.
Nvidia is the king when it comes to the king of chips.
Yeah.
It builds powerful GPUs. While we were trying to process the Blackwell, the Blackwell is phenomenal. It's 100 times more powerful than A800. Now, while you're trying to process that, Nvidia, has new chips that are even 100 times more powerful than Blackwell. So, and this is because you cannot build a data center without GPUs. GPUs are some of the most powerful infrastructure where you can ever think of when it comes to data center.
So Nvidia is number one.
Nvidia, not just data center actually. Not just GPUs. There's what we call the CUDA. CUDA is the software for chips, both training and inferencing. Then you have networking. So Nvidia actually builds a moat around itself, so that wherever you are, in fact, it is almost impossible at this time for you to build an AI infrastructure without buying from Nvidia.
Okay.
It's almost impossible. And by the way, that company is trading at 22 times earnings. And is it not crazy that a company as valuable? And by the way, the forward earnings predicted through 2027 is going to fall to as low as 19 times forward earnings. Meaning that, let me explain what this means. It means that you are paying 19 times. When you buy Nvidia stock today, you are paying 19 times what Nvidia will make in the next 1 year. So that's what we call forward earnings. So that is extremely cheap. In fact, apart from one more name on this list, Nvidia is the cheapest.
What is the ticker symbol?
NVDA. And by the way, this company is worth, some people have a challenge because the company is already worth $6 trillion. So people are like, if a company is worth $6 trillion,
they think
it can. But I've always said, and I keep on saying, you don't buy a company because you don't buy because of the market cap. You actually buy because of the future. Nvidia trading at 22 times earnings is way better than another name, which is the honorable mention in this case, AMD. AMD is trading at, you ready? 64 times forward earnings.
Man, if you
Can you do that is literally 3x. Do you understand?
Wow.
So what that means is that Nvidia will need to, you are buying 64 years of earnings to be able to justify the price that you're buying now. 64 years of earnings.
That's so much.
Good. No, that's that's way more expensive than Nvidia. So don't think that Nvidia is $6 trillion. Think about how cheap is the company. But why is AMD? AMD here is another mention.
I think it's
in the chip space.
AMD is a better competitor to Nvidia.
Yeah, it's the only competitor to it. And by the way, just so you know, Nvidia's Jensen Huang, that's the president and CEO of Nvidia, and Lisa Su, who is the president and CEO of AMD, are cousins.
Okay. No wonder.
So
Nvidia
is good when it comes to AMD is good as a competitor to Nvidia, but Nvidia has an exclusive moat. Then another honorable mention too is Broadcom. And why do I bring Broadcom here? Because Broadcom does what we call custom chips. Custom chips, meaning, for example, Google is doing what we call TPUs. You know, most of the infrastructure build out, especially the custom infrastructure build out, are coming from Broadcom.
What's the ticker symbol of Broadcom?
AVGO. But Broadcom has actually suffered a very serious, and by the way, that's why I'm looking to accumulate I've already started accumulating Broadcom, but I'm also going to buy more when it gets around 320, 300, because Broadcom was the guy that suffered. This sell-off in chip stocks actually was triggered by Broadcom not because Broadcom did not give a good guidance, but investors have become so used to a very superlative guidance. So if you give a guidance that is similar to what you gave the last time, they believe that the narrative is not intact. So
NVIDIA is number one.
So NVIDIA is number one. The others are honorable mentions.
What's number two?
Number two. Then we now move from chips. We move to
data centers.
Data center chips are still part of data centers. So from chips we now move to networking.
Okay, yeah.
Networking, yes. Networking, that is where Marvell Technologies comes in.
What's the ticker symbol?
And I like to be honest with you, I like the way the charts are. There has been such a serious sell-off for these technologies. Now let me pull up something so you because I mean you can, if you look at the charts, then you realize that some of these are at very serious, very impressive buy points. So for example, you have a name like Marvell, which is it's for me it's a very excellent player when it comes to the AI space. They do networking. They ensure that chips are able, those GPUs are able to interact with each other. You asked what the ticker symbol is. MRVL.
Okay,
MRVL. So Marvell Technologies Incorporated. So if you look at the
you can still buy it from Bamboo. I wanted to stress that fact.
No, you can buy almost like I said earlier.
Almost
all the stocks were not almost all of them. All the stocks that we have here
can be bought
you
from
can
Bamboo.
You can buy it from Bamboo.
Yeah.
Now it has gone down from 328 down to, as it's currently trading at $252 per share. So that I just like to put this as actually very serious correction. And for most of these memory names, most of these AI infrastructure names, because they build out, there's still very high and insatiable demand for AI infrastructure build out. Any dip on some of these names, I look at it as buying opportunities, really. So the charts are very good, if you ask me. Some of these names are very, 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 very promising. Though, to be honest, Marvell is a little bit on the high side. It's trading at 63 times forward earnings. But if you look at the insatiable demand for AI infrastructure, then you know that these names are going to. Jensen Huang called in and said Marvell was going to be the next $1 trillion company. Yes. So, and they have invested, by the way. They are not just saying it. Jensen Huang is not just saying it. He has actually invested. Some of the names that I'm going to mention here, like this Marvell, NVIDIA has invested in it. So, you know, like they say, put your money where your mouth is. If these giants, AI giants, have invested in a company, then what does that tell you? It tells you that they see a very huge prospect in this company. Because you cannot, without networking, GPUs are completely useless. And you need some very advanced networking technologies because you are looking at hundreds of thousands of GPUs and the efficiency has to be as good as it could be. So Marvell Technologies is a big one when it comes to optical DSPs, like I talked about. Then you also have another name. This is the name that, I mean, did so well. By the way, I'm also in Marvell too, just as a disclaimer, or sorry, as to be truthful about it. I'm in Marvell, I'm in Micron. Micron literally did a 200x, 200%. Year to date. It has collected a little bit, but it's such that, I mean, as a professional portfolio manager, I had told you about the fact that we try to ensure that one stock, to avoid concentration risk, one stock does not dominate our portfolio. Micron was not among the top flyers in the portfolio, but by last month, towards the ending of May, Micron was already almost 30% of the entire portfolio because of the huge run-up that we had in Micron. Micron almost sits like the Lord when it comes to memory. I call it the memory bottleneck in the AI infrastructure space. You cannot think about the inferencing or training and inferencing. You cannot think about it without memories. And there's something called high bandwidth memory. And Micron is one of the very few, I think there are 3 companies in the whole world that can produce specific HBM, high bandwidth memory, that can work with data centers. The likes of which have thousands, hundreds of thousands, or even millions of
These
GPUs
businesses are
connected.
interrelated. These businesses are interrelated.
Yes.
They're all interrelated.
You can, yeah, I mean, they are all part of
Yes.
the infrastructure stack.
Okay.
So Micron, and by the way, Micron is trading at, you ready? 9 times forward earnings. 9 times.
Forward earnings.
It is the cheapest you can think of. I mean, when people
So
look
it's a
at
better time to buy.
when people look at how Micron has run up, I mean, someone told me Micron has done over 200. I think 200 as at the end of May when I trimmed my portfolio, it was already 229%.
Okay.
So someone asks, why would you tell someone to buy such a name? I'm not buying because of, I mean, it has come down because of, I mean, some of the things that we've seen. But you are not buying because, you are buying because the earnings of Micron has completely gone through off the charts. So that means the price to earnings ratio becomes way lower. And that makes the stock cheaper. So Micron is way cheaper than NVIDIA on this.
All right, now we have NVIDIA. We have Marvel.
We have Micron.
That's it. So let's do the last 2 before we go.
So the last 2 one of them will take me to, I'm going to mention optical technologies, optical technology for data centers. And I'm going to mention 2 names, Coherent, Core, when it comes to AI, optical, like what we call optical fiber. You know how optical fiber has transformed hardwired internet connection. That is the same way that they produce lasers. Do you know what the laser technology is? Laser technology is what allows high speed transmission of data across digital, like things like GPUs. Starlink, for example, low Earth orbiting satellites used by SpaceX. Starlink use lasers. Those satellites actually communicate using lasers because laser is reliable and is very, very high speed. Accuracy and low latency, high accuracy and low attenuation. Sorry about using some of this, but these are very relevant when it comes to AI infrastructure build-up. So Coherent is up there. It's trading at 43 times forward earnings. Then another one is Lumentum. Lumentum Technology is also another name.
What is the ticker symbol?
Is Lumen.
Okay, Lumen.
So,
okay.
So if you look at some of these names, you realize that they are actually very relevant to that space when it comes to lasers, optical technology for AI infrastructure build out. That is one. So Coherent is a name for me. Lumentum is also there. Yes. Then of course, the last name I would mention here is SanDisk.
Okay.
SanDisk is when it comes to storage. Cloud storage. That is why it has done, I think it has done 189% year to date. Crazy numbers. In fact, none of these names has made anything less than 100% return on investment year to date. So SanDisk, I want to look at just very briefly where it is in terms of I want to look at where it is in terms of because again, we also want to suggest whether it's a buy at this point or whether people could actually wait for a retracement. So, sorry, just a moment. SanDisk is trading at SanDisk Corporation is trading at it's a good buy. It has retraced from all the way from 1,861. It is currently trading at 1,643.
It's a good buy.
So SanDisk is a good buy in terms of then SNDK. Then you have SNDK, Lumentus LITE. You have NVIDIA NVDA, Broadcom FVGO. I think these names are names that actually are
in a good buy position.
They are going buy position. In fact, they are
Even
trades
people are saying that we're having an AI bubble. That does not mean that people are actually making money from it.
Yeah, people are making money from it.
So much money.
Yes,
like 200% is.
I remember when Micron shot up to 960, and then retraced to about 700. I told someone, this is a buying opportunity to 700 something. No. Let me wait until it comes down to 200.
Okay.
And it actually has not come down to 200.
Yeah.
We expect the earnings to be strong by next month. By next month, we are already in earnings season, and you know what that means. As Micron announces better performance, then you are going to have some of these stock prices continue to rocket.
All right, thank you very much. And I think we've done justice to that. We've not just listed them; we've talked about the business model. Thank you very much for coming.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Now, on that note, we've come to the end of today's episode of Clockwise. Now, with your Bamboo, you can actually access these names, and if you feel like investing, or if you do your personal research and you see that you can actually invest in them, you can actually go on to invest in them once you finish speaking with your financial advisor. Now, we call ourselves Clockwise because we follow the financial clock, and we know that there's always a bull market everywhere, and we are here to bring those information to you. Please do not forget to like, subscribe, and put on the notification bell on this channel. And if you want to join our community, there's a link on our profile that will take you straight to our Telegram community where you can have a very close interaction with us. Ask your questions and we are there to provide answers for you. Thank you very much once again. I'll see you again. My name is Providence.